Hello and welcome back to my channel. So today's video is going to be about creating an origami effect using an image as a reference. So this is what we're going to learn in this tutorial. 1. We're going to learn how to create the origami effect. 2. We're going to learn a bit about gradients and how to change colors and modify them and control them. 3. We're going to learn how to type a text on a particular path. And 4, we're going to learn how to put a texture on top of this. Let's get started. I have an image here which I downloaded from the internet. I'll just leave you the link. You can find it in the description box. And then next we're going to create something like this. Let's go to File and New. And let's pick a 10 into 10 inches. And let's make this as CMYK. That's if you're going to print, but I'll just keep it as RGB because I'm using it for the screen right now, and click Create. Now let's import our image into this. To do that, you just have to go to the folder that has the image and drag the image in here. Let me just do that. So I have my image in this folder. I'm just going to click on this and drag and place it here. Now as you can see, the image is quite small, so I'm just going to expand it. Just hold your shift key down and then click and drag to make it much larger. You can also use your resize tool right here. That you can just click on this and click and drag to resize it. Okay, let me place this in the center of the page. Okay, so once you have this ready, let's lock this layer. Just go to your layers panel. If you cannot find it, go to window and then layers. I'll just lock this up and now click on this create new layer icon, and now we're going to do all our artwork on this layer right here. Click on your pen tool. If you cannot see it here, right click and then select the pen tool. You can also press P on your keyboard. Now we're going to draw the elephant right here using our pen tool. And those of you who don't know how to use pen tool, there are two things to it. One is you click and then you go somewhere, drag and then click again, and this gives you a really straight line. But if you click and then go somewhere and click and pull, it gives you a curvy line. So we don't want this curve right here. All we want is a straight line everywhere. So I'm just going to undo that. So what we're going to do is we're going to create an outline of the elephant and keeping our lines as straight as possible. So let's just try that. We go here, click and drag, click, click, click. I just want to go and uncheck the fill here because I just want the strokes. I'll just flip this so that my stroke is wide, and for the fill, I'm just going to click on none. Okay, let's keep doing this. Now we're going to go back and close this loop by clicking on the first anchor point. Okay, so if you go back to your selection tool, you can see we have created an outline, and now we're going to fill this outline with triangles, and try to keep the triangles as big as possible because the smaller triangles usually don't look so well. For example, if I click on this, I created this tiny little elephant baby with smaller triangles, but I really didn't like it. So let's just go back here and try to draw triangles, and it's not necessary that it has to be triangles all the time. It could be a little different shapes as well. This is a smaller version of it. So if I click here, as you can see, this is not a triangle, it's just a polygon. So just try to create shapes which are like triangle or has pointy edges, and it's not a rectangle or a square. So click on your pen tool again. Let's click on a point, drag it in, yeah, and then click back here. And now when you do that, you have this extra thing coming out. So you can actually continue making it. But if you don't want to, and if you want to stop here, you can hold your command or control button and click outside, and then it gets unselected, and then you can continue working on it. So let's just make some random shapes right here, and I'll get back to you. If you want to undo any stroke or something, you can press Command Z or Control Z. Okay, so our outlines are ready, and now it's time to fill it with a gradient. But before you do that, you should know that since we have connected this using the pen tool, they are not distinct shapes. So first we have to divide this so that it forms separate chunks, and then we can apply the gradient. To do that, you have to select everything. You can press Control A or Command A, and then you need to go to your Pathfinder tool. So if you cannot find it here, go to Window and then Pathfinder right here, and it'll open this up, and you can press the Divide button right here. And now these are separated out, and we're going to go ahead and apply a fill to it just to make sure we know it has a fill. Okay, so now this is how it looks like. Let's uncheck this eye on the visibility on the image layer because we don't need the image anymore. Oops, but we cannot see it because we selected it white. So I'm just going to say Control All, that is Command A or Control A, and then give it some other color so that it's bright and nice. Okay, so now it's time to apply a gradient. So if you click on this, you can see all these are selected together. That's because we have, when you click on divide, it automatically groups them together. So if you want to uncheck, if you want to select each box and apply a gradient to it, the first thing you'll have to do is to ungroup them. So to ungroup them, you can press Command Shift and G, and then it automatically gets ungrouped. So this is very nice because when you want to test the colors, like for the gradients, it's usually nicer. You can test it on single blocks, like give it blue and yellow and something, you know, different colors here, and it'll help you compare like which one would look better without having to change the whole thing. Okay, so the first thing is we need to pick out colors to put in here. So I have some colors already. I chose a really toned out color because I don't know why. So let me just pick up those two colors right here. You can also choose the darker one though. Okay, I'll pick all three of them. Let's try to make it darker this time and see if it works. Okay, so click on any of the box. This is for the test, like I told you, and you can just click on any of the boxes right here. And before that, we need to copy the color codes from here. That's something you have to do. So once you click on this bubble right here, if you go back to the fill, double click on it. And there's a hex code right here, which is already selected. If it's not selected, click and drag to select it. And you can press Command C on your Mac or Control C on your PC to copy it. Click OK. And now we'll go to your gradient. If you cannot find gradient here, go to Window and Gradient. But before you do that, click on your particular chunk of the elephant. And now let's go keep this as linear. You can see that it automatically applied the one which was here, but we're going to change that. To change the color of the gradient, you have to kind of click on the slider. You can double click it and it will take you to this kind of a palette kind of thing. But if you don't want that, you can just click here, double click here, and then it gives you the same window. You press Command V or Control V to paste the hex code that you copied. Now click OK. And you can see that it has copied your color. And now for this one, I'm just going to double click, copy, click OK, and go back to your chunk. Click on this side of the gradient, double click, Control V, Command V, click OK, and there you go. And as you can see, if I click on this, there's a problem here. There's the outline. So we're going to uncheck that. If you feel this color is fine and you want to apply it to the whole thing, just click and drag to select everything. Now press I on your keyboard. To go to the eyedropper tool, you can pick it from here as well. And then click on this chunk of, and then you can see it's all changed. But let's go back and make the fill as line stroke as none because that's what we need. Go back to your selection tool, click outside, and you can see that we have a basic elephant ready. But if you go back here and compare it with the elephant that I have here, you can see that the gradients are in different directions. But here, they're all in the same direction. So if I select everything And if I go to my gradient tool right here and click, you can see the arrows are all in the same direction. So we're just going to go ahead and modify some of these so that it's not so uniform and it looks a little better. Let's start doing that. We can just click on individual ones, go back to your gradient tool, and if you come right here, you can see a small twisted arrow. That means that you can rotate this. So you can align the gradient in any way you want. That's one way to do it. And the thing is, you can flip the colors. If I want red on the other side, let me just put it here, and the white on the other end. So you can change that as well. And as you can see, it already is separated from this chunk right here. Before it looked like they were both the same. So let's go ahead and do this for all these chunks right here. Okay, so I've arranged all the gradients. Now if I go back to my selection tool, click and drag, and then click on the gradient tool, you can see it's a pretty mess. So great, now this is done. And next thing we're going to do is we are going to create the font that we have here in a really nice circle kind of a way. Okay, let's go ahead and do that. So let me just move these away. Since I know they don't need them anymore, I'm just going to keep it here. Let me lock this layer up and create a new layer. That's a text layer. Go to your ellipse tool, right click and go to your ellipse tool. Go to almost your center of your image, click, press Option and Shift and drag to make a circle. So when you press Option and Shift, what happens is it kind of draws a circle from the center, or a rectangle, or any shape that you have, it just draws it from the center. Okay, we don't want the fill, so I'm just gonna uncheck that. And for stroke, let's put it black. Now let's go to our align, go to window and then align, and then place it center and center. It's not working because it says align to selection, but we're gonna change the aligns to artboard, and then center and then center. We have to do the same thing for the elephant as well. So I'm just gonna unlock this, go to my elephant, but if you see that it is individual, so we need to group it first. So I'll lock the layer 3 because I don't want to move the circle. Press Command A or Control A to select everything. Let's delete this. Okay, press Command A or Control A to select everything, and now press Command G to group them together, and now press center and center. Okay, so I'll lock this, unlock the layer 3, click on it. Now we have the circle and this one both ready. But it looks like I don't have enough space on my artboard, so I'm just going to go ahead and click on my artboard tool right here and then drag this and make it a little bigger on both sides. Click on your selection tool and then goes off, and now we have changed the size of the artboard. That means it's no longer 10 into 10. Okay, so now it's time to write our text. So if you go to your text tool and type something, it's just going to type it like, straight like this. But we want something different, so we're going to right click and say type on a path tool. And then we're going to go here, and when you go next to the path, you can see it gets highlighted. So when it's highlighted, just click. Okay, let's see, my cute elephant. Okay, I'll just select everything by clicking and dragging, and let's make this 70, and then let's change the font. It should be fine, and go to your selection tool and you can see that, but it's not aligned. So one of the options you can do is you can see one of these lines right here. You can just click on that and try to drag it out so that it's somewhat in center. If you don't want to do that, you can also use this to rotate the circle itself. So once you have that ready, wait, it's not nice or in center, so I'm just going to rotate it a little bit more. Okay, and we need to do the same thing for the down. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to click on this, Control C and Control F to paste on top. Okay, now we have this, and you can press this, and once you try to drag it out, you can see that it automatically switches to down like that. See that? So we're just going to place it somewhere here so that it's inside, the text is inside. And then click on this and select everything and say is turning 1. Click on the selection tool so it selects that, and turn this around so that it kind of is in the center. But like as you can see, it's nice and circle, but it's a little, the elephant needs to move up or something. So I'm just gonna go ahead, go to my elephant layer, click on this and move it up a little and resize it by holding your shift key so that it is somewhat okay. Now there's only one thing left, that's to add textures. The textures are something which you can create on your own, or you can download a lot of them from the internet for free. So the texture pack that I have right here is something which I downloaded from the internet. You can Google vector textures. So that's exactly what I did, and I have a lot of textures here. So I'm just gonna pick a texture. I'll take this one, Control C to copy, Control V to paste. So you can either place multiple versions of this. You can again press Control V and then place it right next to each other and make it something like this. Or you could just click and drag and make a huge chunk out of this one itself, like this. But it's too strong, like you can see. So you can just click on this and go to your transparency panel. If you cannot see transparency panel, go to window and then transparency. It's somewhere here. Yeah, there. So click on the blend mode and go to overlay and then click outside. So as you can see, I put this texture on top of the elephant. You can actually create a new layer and put the texture over there. But make sure you put the texture below the text layer because it really doesn't look good if the texture is on the text. You can change the font color right here. So go to your library or wherever you have your colors and you can click on any color that you want. This is basically how you make an origami style, whatever, from an image as a reference. I have to put this down a bit. Okay. So yeah, thanks for watching and I hope you really liked this video. And if you did, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. You can head over to my blog and pick up some freebies and there's some Illustrator files which you can work with, and do check out my other tutorials on other Illustrator tutorials. See you next week. Bye bye.